highlight one thing. I wrote a book, sent it off to a professional editor, and received my edits back. Hello fellow YouTubers, I'm Cassandra Joy and welcome to my channel. You find me on a great Saturday morning, but I will say it's a lot warmer than it has been. The snow has almost completely melted and I woke up to a gorgeous sunrise. Absolutely stunning. I could not believe how pretty the colors were. By the way, if I have any purple anywhere around my mouth, I'm trying out this new purple, it's not toothpaste, it's like a teeth whitener. I'm still feeling it out. I'm not quite sure about it, but if I have any purple, it's because of that. So today, I have some plans, and I thought I would take you along for them. I don't know if I mentioned on YouTube or not, I can't remember, but for anybody who doesn't know, I wrote a book, and I've codenamed it my Chai Project, sent it off to a professional editor who is the sweetest human alive, and received my edits back. My editor had some really insightful tweaks that would really benefit the story in the long run. There were very few things I didn't agree with, which bodes well because she understood the vision of what I was trying to say. And I will say, any little plot hole that I was like, this doesn't need to be totally fleshed out. This is like a little historical fact about the characters that the readers don't care about. They don't need to know the specifics. And those were the kind of things that she was like, I need more specifics. My job for the foreseeable future is to chip away at those edits. I want to start getting my manuscript as perfect as possible so that I can take the next step in getting it published, which is to send it to literary agents. What a perfect excuse to go out in the town, visit a coffee shop I don't typically go to because it's a little farther away, and take you all along. The coffee shop closes unusually early at like 3. We might even have time to stop into a shop and do a little bit of browsing. Let me know if that sounds like a fun day. I'm definitely excited. I've pretty much got everything packed up, so we can be on our way. Okay, we're here. Actually, I think the lens is a bit dirty. We made it to Sydney. The downtown looks really cute. It's apparently very historic. The buildings definitely look like they have character from years gone by. The coffee shop I'm going to take you to is called Greenhouse Coffee, spelled green H-A-U-S. Fun fact, Purebred Coffee, which is the coffee shop I love and rave about, their coffee is probably my favorite tasting-wise. Greenhouse serves their coffee. So you get purebred coffee, but at their place. It's really cool. The interior of the coffee shop is still so cute. It still has all the plants, still has all the fun boho trinkety things to buy. It's always a good time when I can make it over here. So let's go in and get to work.
Say something like you love me and make like you always do. Hold my hand and look me in the eyes so I can tell you how I feel. Tell you how I feel. Every day is something new. If I spend it with you, with you, with you. Oh, I want you right now, and I need you right now, you right now. My world is spinning round, round, around. Oh, I want you now, now, now. My world is spinning round, 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 and I want you now.
Out of my mind, how could I be so blind? How could I not see? Awake on the floor, looking up, wanting more. This is so unreal. I must have been wrong, 'cause your love is strong for him. Why would it not be? He's always there for you. Would you be standing on your
Very loud. I don't know if you can hear me. We'll see in post. I may just have to cut all this out, but we'll do our best. So I'm just starting to edit, just going in order, but I wanted to show you an example of the kind of thing that Samantha, my editor, caught and tried to show me how to tweak. So here's an example. I'm hiding the main character's name, but the original line said, "I would never so-and-so tried to sound horrified." And Samantha changed it to, "So-and-so said trying to sound horrified." She said, "You can use a different word other than said should you want a different dialogue tag. Just made the correction for an example to show the corrected format for the dialogue tag." So this kind of stuff I'm just not familiar with. These are probably nitpicky things, good nitpicky things that an agent would see, but as the average reader, which is how I learned to write, by reading, I wouldn't ever think of this. So it's good that I have somebody who has an eye for that telling me, hey, this isn't bad, it's just something you might want to tweak for formatting's sake. I'm gonna taste test. Ooh, it's spicy, but a good kind of spicy. It's very warming, which is kind of perfect for this cold, gray day. This place closes at 3, so I'm gonna get stuck in and see how much work I can get done before they close.
I know it's nothing new, but it's so good to see you. We do this every day, and I'm still so amazed by you.
So I give my characters a pretty well-rounded personality, but there were some details that I just felt like weren't important, that readers wouldn't stop and think about. For instance, the main character is looking for a job at the beginning of the story. I didn't think it was important to mention other jobs she had had previously or why she was looking for a job in the first place. It just felt like it was enough to plot the narrative in the middle of the story and let it unfold from there. Because in the past, in other books I've written, I've gone too far into all the background details. So it's funny that I'm now having the opposite problem where I didn't include enough information. I'll have to play around with that to add bits and pieces more as I go through. It's all a learning experience, you know, you learn as you go. Back in the cold, trying to warm up my car here. That was so much fun. I got quite a bit done. I think I got through 5 chapters. The first 3 chapters were already kind of done for me because those were the chapters that my editor Samantha really dug into, because those are the ones that you send to a literary agent, so those have to be pristine. There were a few suggestions that she had put in those first 3 chapters. For instance, the main character's older brother has come back home to visit for a few weeks, and I had written that he was going to stay through Thanksgiving. But the way the dates worked out, he would have been staying for over a month, which even by close-knit family standards would have been a lot. So I had to tweak that. I also never mentioned where he was living, what kind of job he had. No, I did mention that. So I had to go in and say, oh, he's visiting from Michigan. And they made a whole Ohio versus Michigan joke, which I think a lot of Ohioans will appreciate. And it just flowed into the conversation. It was an easy fix, but it was something I hadn't thought a reader would care about. It felt like a detail that would be important to me, but wouldn't be important in the grand scheme of the plot, if that makes sense. So those are the kind of tweaks that I went in and did. And it was really nice to just hide myself away in a coffee shop for a while. I think I'm getting a little bored with the coffee shops I always frequent because I've been going there for 20 years. It's nice to throw in something new every once in a while. And if you're local and have any coffee shops that you love and swear by and think would be my vibe, let me know in the comments below where they are, what they're called, and why you love them, because I am down for visiting new coffee shops and taking you all along. I did buy one thing while I was there. There were a few things I had my eye on. There were a pair of gold hoop earrings that looked really pretty. They were the huggy style, so they wouldn't poke you. $20-something, I think. Then there was a candle. It was called Serenity or Serene, and it had a lavender scent, but it wasn't just lavender. It was mixed with a couple other things, and it just smelled divine. And I really considered that, but it was $36. I mean, granted, it was a huge candle, and with my candle warmer, it would have lasted me eons. Maybe if I go back and it's still there, I might get it next time. There was a hat that I showed you when I first arrived. It was this corduroy green hat. That green shade I've been into for some random reason, and I really loved it. And if it hadn't said coffee on the front, I probably would have grabbed it. That's okay, because I did end up with something else. I ended up getting a perfume. This is such a cool business. I didn't even know this existed, but it's called Salt and Light by Sammy, and it's a Bible-based perfume. This one says Proverbs 31, which is a very common and well-known part of the Bible. There are entire Bible studies based off of that. Proverbs 31 Ministries comes to mind, and this perfume smells so nice. It has a rose scent. It didn't give the notes, which I was really sad about, but on here it says it's made with organic cane sugar alcohol and toxin-free fragrances and essential oils. Love all of that. The fact that it's a small business is just an added bonus. Oh, it smells like roses. This smells like a date night perfume. I'm gonna look up this brand because I love the fact that it's faith-based. That's just so cool to me. I'm happy with what I got accomplished today. I feel like editing isn't going to take me quite as long as I expected, and I am learning some bad habits that I didn't know were bad habits that I've been doing grammatically. Just tiny things that probably aren't a big deal, but would definitely be a big deal to an editor. And of course, Samantha, because she's so good at her job, found all of them. Anyway, it's all right. Better to fix it now than to be embarrassed by having not fixed it later. All right, let's go home. Hello loves, I'm now in my cozies, and I thought to round off this vlog, it might be interesting to you for me to answer a few questions that some of you had on my book. I think the most I update you is just a throwaway phrase saying, oh, I edited this, or oh, I sent this off. I don't really go into much detail because sadly the YouTube algorithm doesn't seem to like when I do that, but today I'm not worrying about that. Today I'm posting what I love. And that's my book. Oh, quick note before I dive into any questions. The name Chai Project is a code name. That's not going to be the name of the book if I have anything to say about it, but it makes it easy for me to reference and have you all know what I'm talking about. For anybody who has no idea what my Chai Project is about, it's a Gilmore Girls meets Hallmark, autumn-themed, small-town, slow-burn romance with a plus-size heroine. So I'm going to pull up some questions and see if I can fill you all in a little bit better. First question is, where did you get the idea to write your Chai Project? No one's ever asked me that before. Thank you very much for asking. The day I got inspired for this story is actually a day I vlogged. I went with some friends to see this local play of Jekyll and Hyde. It was a grand time. The theater was really old and had a lot of history in a town that I had never really explored before. Considering the fact that it was all local talent, the skills of these actors were so good. If you don't know anything about Jekyll and Hyde, there are a few key players in the narrative. There's Jekyll and Hyde, there's the best friend, John, there's Lucy, Lady of the Night, and a few others. John, the best friend, why is he not playing the Beast on Beauty and the Beast on Broadway? He's that good. The guy who played Jekyll and Hyde, his voice was pretty good, but his ability to encapsulate the duality of those characters was impeccable. That play was the first creative little spark that eventually inspired me to write the rest of my chai project. And for anybody wondering, okay, but how does a play about Jekyll and Hyde fit in at all to an autumn-themed small-town romance? Very good question. I don't know if I want to tell you. It might give a little too much away. But I'll say this. The theater I visited when I went to see the play definitely made its own fictional appearance in the book. A lot of the elements I used in the book were heavily inspired by that theater. And the actor who played Jekyll and Hyde also may have inspired one of the main characters. When everything was said and done, the character that I ended up creating was much farther evolved. Is that good grammar? I don't know. Than the actor I met for 5 minutes, if that, after the play. The actors in the play, the music, everything made such an impact on me that it made it into the book and inspired an entire story from that one experience. Why is it called Chai Project? I think I addressed this already, but Chai Project is a code name. It's not the actual title of the book. It's something else, but it makes for an easy way to refer to my book without people getting confused, simply because I have a lot of books that I've written. And if I were just to say, oh, that book I wrote, that wouldn't be defining enough. But the title I have chosen for the book, it may not even end up being called that when all is said and done. From what I understand, publishers can have a pretty opinionated view on what books should be called. So my opinion may not matter in that aspect, but I do have one picked out, just in case, if I were to get the opportunity to name it myself. What's your book about? That's a very good question. I don't want to give too much away, other than the synopsis that I've already given you. But what I will say is that it features a plus-size character. And for me, I've not been exposed to believable plus-size characters in literature. I've seen some here and there, but they just never ring true, and they never seem to verbalize or internalize a lot of the stuff I've experienced as someone who's also plus sized. There's rarely realistic discussions about food. If there is, it's often either overboard or it's super unbelievable. The things that the character thinks or experiences is often unrelatable, at least to me. And so I wanted to make it my mission to create a book that I could have used in my younger years when I was really struggling with my health and my weight to point to and say, oh, I get her. The main takeaway I want my readers to feel when they read my book is to feel seen, to feel less invisible. As someone who has felt invisible for a good portion of my life, especially younger me felt really invisible. I posted a little preview of my book on TikTok, and it somehow accidentally went viral for me. It has something like 90,000 views or likes on it, and that's more than I've ever had, ever, on any platform. And one of the phrases I used in that video was everyone who commented just resonated with that particular phrase. It broke my heart on the one hand to know that so many people feel unseen, but it also really warmed my heart too, because it's kind of like, oh, I'm not alone. Younger me could have had an entire community of invisible girls to bond with, and she had no idea. That's one of the main takeaways I want my book to give to its readers, is to know that everyone deserves to be seen, everyone deserves to be wanted, and everyone deserves to be loved. Somehow I've compiled all of those feelings into a story that hopefully you'll be able to read soonish. The next question is, when will your chai project be in Barnes & Noble? Girl, I wish I knew. I would love to know the answer to that. I don't have a timeline in any sense of the word, but what I can tell you are the broad strokes of how I understand publishing a book to take place. There are 3 main steps, and each of these broad stroke steps can take a good long time. First, you want to have your manuscript edited so that you have as pristine a story as you can. I personally went with a professional editor who ended up being the sweetest human ever. Her name is Samantha. I'll link her in the description box if any of you are looking for an editor for your books yourself. I sent in my manuscript to her. She looked over the first 3 chapters super heavily because typically the first 3 chapters are the ones that you send to literary agents. And then for the rest of the manuscript, she looked over plot consistency, character arcs, dates and ages and details that an author can easily lose track of through the course of writing the book. And her advice was honestly gold. She offered so many good recommendations. So now my job is to take those edits and implement them. Once that happens, the second step can take place, and that is pitching to literary agents. Once you have secured a literary agent, that agent will then be your middleman, your go-between, you and a publishing house. They also don't earn a penny until you do, so it's in their best interest to push your book. And basically their job is to tell a publishing house, hey, we've got this shiny new book that I think is going to make you a lot of money. Because sadly, even if your book is the coolest story to ever exist, it really doesn't matter if it's not going to make a publishing house any money. You then go through many steps, of which I don't know, which eventually lead to your book getting published and put on bookshelves. And that's what I'm about to dive into head first. And that is why my book is not in Barnes & Noble yet. Someday. I'm predicting it now. I'm praying for it now. I'm gonna walk into Barnes & Noble with my vlog camera, because obviously, and I'm gonna look on the shelf, and there, in all its beauty, is going to be my chai project. But until then, I'm just gonna keep chipping away at all of the little to-do lists and steps in between. If for whatever reason you'd like to have a lot of bookish content or updates on my book, TikTok is the place to go. That's the place I've ordained to be my bookish corner. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed coming along with me on this very bookish, writery day. I had a lot of fun and would definitely love to do this more often. If you have any questions about any part of this process, you are more than welcome to ask in the comments. One question before I go. Are you writing a book, or have you written a book? And if so, what's it about? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching and for being here and hanging out with me today. If you're new and haven't done so yet, please consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell so that you never miss a future video from me. One of my main goals for my channel is to get monetized. Yes, I've been on YouTube for 12 years and no, I'm still not monetized. But if you'd like to help my channel out, that's one way you can do that. Love you guys. Mwah. Bye.